Hi. Okay, so today is actually my day off from school before all hell breaks loose because next week is Thanksgiving, and then after that it's just exam after exam. And because we have so many exams coming up, I figured a lot of other nursing students do too. The way our exam schedule looks like right now, it's November 29th. I have exam 3. Then we have December 6th, ATI Pharmacology, and then ATI Dosage and Calculations on the same day. December 11th, I have my final. So, because of all these exams that are gonna bombard us soon, I wanted to share kind of like what I've been doing so far and what's helped me for exams 1 and 2. At my school, you need to get a 75% and above in order to pass the class. So there's only 5 exams. So every exam is worth 20% of our grade, and you have to do pretty good in every exam in order to stay above the 75% mark and in order to proceed to the next semester, which is our last semester. I do have like this system I kind of do. It does take up a lot of my time, but again, I only work like 10 to 12 hours a week, and then other than that, I don't have children. I don't have other big responsibilities. I help out at home, like I do chores, I pick up kids from school, but those are my siblings. So I have kind of like a pass. If I really can't, I'll just stay at home and study. So I did write a list because or else I was gonna be all over the place. Okay, he was gonna be scratching the door until it broke down. So I'm just gonna hold him or else he'll be barking at the other dogs. Okay, so first things first, this is like, for example, a Sunday right before lecture. I will go through all the readings, and if there's a lot, I'll start probably since Saturday in order to get through them, or I'll finish them on Monday. I won't stress myself out on having to read everything before the lecture starts. I'll read all my chapters that they have assigned, and I'll highlight as I go. Number 2 is I'll print out the PowerPoint. My professors usually put it up before Monday's lectures, and I will have it ready for when lecture is on Monday morning. For lecture, I will be making notes as I go based on what the professor is lecturing on. Number 3 is I actually record the lecture. I know you have to ask your professors if that's okay, but all my professors are always okay with it. I just double check before lecture starts. I do record the lecture because I feel like I'm writing stuff down, I'm listening to lecture, there's things that are passing by me that I didn't pay attention to, or something that she explained very, very well, and I want to be able to go back and re-listen to that to really get a full understanding of the concept they just explained. Number 4 is I'll go back home and I'll skim read. I won't like read word per word because that may take too much time. If I do have the time, then I'll go again and do a second round of reading, but if I don't, I'll kind of like skim through, making sure I read all the highlighted parts. That's why your highlighting in the number 1 is very important. I'll go back and reread parts and put those details in my PowerPoint. Make sure I have full understanding of all the concepts that were covered in the PowerPoint, because for example, my professors, everything they put in the PowerPoint is important, and those are things that they're kind of emphasizing on. The point of their PowerPoint is to kind of have a guided summary of what was in the textbook, what was in our readings. So we also already have like a summary. So now I'm just going back from the textbook and filling in more detail. So it's like an even fuller summary where I understand all the concepts that they picked out and put in their PowerPoint. Number 5 is I will re-listen to the lecture and do more notes as I go in my PowerPoint, making sure I got everything that they said during lecture. So I'm really only listening to lecture 1 extra time, so that may take up 2 to 3 hours of my day, but I'm getting the full picture. And so I think it's very important to have like your PowerPoint to get the lecture information and get the full textbook information and have that all in one. We're in intermediate med-surg, and so there's a lot of disease processes. When I was in 2nd semester, a 3rd semester student recommended that we get the pathophysiology made easy textbook early on, just to have it on hand and be able to use it when we needed it. And they're like $20 on Amazon, and I did find it useful for when we were learning about the pancreas and about the gallbladder stones, everything in the liver. I use the Patho book to go back, read those little chapters. They're very small. It's just a couple of pages, and they have great pictures to kind of detail exactly what's going on and to get like the full understanding on the pathophysiology of those organs and those disease processes. And I will read through them, and I will make any extra notes again in my PowerPoint. I'll bring it all back to the PowerPoint. So this last exam this was one of the PowerPoints. It was comprised of 3 weeks worth of content. So this was one of the weeks. I get a sticky note and I'll just write out the objectives for that week. The professor's objectives are exactly what they want you to know for the exam. So for example, here I put, this is geriatric patients with urinary disorders. So I have know the abnormal findings in an elderly patient, know your urinary tract disorders, safety and surgical procedures for urinary tract diseases, appropriate patient teaching, explain how urinary system maintains homeostasis, and then how to assess the function of renal systems. So I have that right here. So when I'm going through my PowerPoint and studying, I can go back and make sure, like, okay, do I understand how to teach my patient on proper perineal care, and I'll just go off of that. In the PowerPoint, I'll put what week it's for, what the page readings were, sticky note with the objectives on it, and then in one color, this is where it gets fun. In pink, I put everything the teacher said during lecture. In light green is everything the Patho Made Easy book told me, and then in dark green is everything the textbook told me. And this is how I study. I'll read the PowerPoint, I'll read all my notes, I'll make sure I understand the concepts fully. But I feel like this is my master way of doing it, is just having everything in one thing, because it's easy to go back on and just learn. The week of the exam, my exams are on Thursday mornings. I'll start Sunday is when I really come down to it. And I have a whiteboard, and I will write out disease processes and teach it to my dog, and I'll be talking out loud and teaching it to the captain, or I'll be teaching it to invisible, like just to my wall. Just pretend like you're teaching it, because that kind of explanation you have to give is much more detailed, and you're trying to dumb it down for your students. And I feel like that really helps if you're just saying it out loud, writing it out. You also want to be taking NCLEX style questions, because again, that's how you're going to be tested. You could know the liver very well, but if you don't know how to apply it in question form, you might struggle, which is unfortunate, but it's true. So, for example, we all have a Lippincott textbooks, and so if you go to the Lippincott Walters Kluwer website, go into it and get all the questions from the textbook, because this textbook doesn't have any questions at the end of the chapters. That would be an alternative if you did have it, but we don't. So when we go on the website, we asked our teachers if they could get us access to the practice questions, and they were able to. And so there's like 100 questions for every chapter. If you can't do that, I do have and recommend this book. This is the Lippincott Q&A review for NCLEX. And so again, you could go back to the disease process that you're trying to remember or study. Neurologic health problems, I have tagged here the clients with urinary tract disorders, and you can take questions and make sure you understand what's happening and how to answer those questions. I did make charts for like cholelithiasis and cholecystitis, pancreatitis, urinary tract disorders. This is what it looked like for lower UTIs, and I put the patho, the causes, the diagnosis, like how do you diagnose it, what kind of test do you have to run, the treatment, what is the medication, and what patient teaching do you do. I just have other in case I have ran out of space elsewhere. And then I have the signs and symptoms. What will it look like acutely, and then once it becomes chronic. So this is what it looks like, and I will make charts, and that's what I'll kind of base off of when I go back into my whiteboard and try to teach it to my invisible students. The week of the exam, while you're studying heavily, I like to make sure I'm drinking a lot of water, you're staying hydrated, and you're eating very light meals, because personally, if I'm eating pasta all day, I'm gonna be very tired and not want to study or be less motivated. so I'll just keep it to vegetables and fruit. Like, I eat so healthy the week of exams because I'm trying to make sure my energy is up and making sure that I don't get fatigued based off of my nutrition. Also, a big thing is make sure you have everything you need right next to you in your study space. Personally, I can study at home. I feel like if I go to a coffee shop, that's fine. I won't get distracted either, but sometimes I'm missing stuff. I also like to talk to myself out loud a lot while I'm studying because I feel like that's how I retain information. I have my tissues, I have hand sanitizer, I have chapstick, I have these almonds there. This is what I use when I really want to just snack on something. I just get some almonds. I have my water. Again, I have a jug of water so I don't have to be refilling it as frequently, and I make sure I'm hydrated. All my textbooks, so I'll have my actual textbook, I'll have my NCLEX textbook, and I'll have the Patho Made Easy, and then I have my phone on airplane mode in the drawer away from me. I will also have all my pens, all my different colored pens, all my highlighters, all my markers, and some mints in case I, again, just want to get snacky. That's what I make sure I have next to me at all times when I'm going to study, because it's so easy to be like, oh, I need to go fill up my water bottle and leave for like 30 minutes. I'm not the kind of person who would recommend or suggest for somebody to study like 10 hours in one sitting. Also, I'm not the kind of person who can just study for 20 minutes and then take like a 5-minute break, because I've seen that a lot, like on Pinterest. I can't do that. I get distracted after that, and it's really hard to get me back into the zone. I'll personally study for like an hour or an hour and a half, and then I'll go walk around. I do recommend taking breaks, like taking actual physical breaks. I'll go out and go get the mail, walk around the block, even just walking my dog to like the end of the street. Just something to really get your mind away from the textbook. Another thing I like to do is meditate. I'm trying to get better at this, but this is something that I've been working on for this semester. There's an app called Headspace, and I really like it. It puts me to sleep so quick. It looks like that, and it's like 3, 5, or 10-minute little meditation session. I really like it because it definitely makes you feel so refreshed. In like a 10-minute period, you'll feel like you took a 30-minute nap. And last thing is the week of the exam, we'll definitely delete Instagram and any other like apps that you feel like take up your time. If you have any games on your phone, delete those. Delete Twitter, delete Reddit. Literally, you wouldn't imagine how much extra time you find yourself being like, wow, I would have been on Instagram right now for sure. Instead of taking an actual break, leaving my desk, leaving my room, I would probably be scrolling through my phone. For now, I'm gonna get back to studying, and I hope these tips helped, and hopefully you take what you can and apply it to your study habits. So good luck to everybody on this exam season, and I hope everybody passes. Okay, bye. Good luck.